All right, perfect. Our admin section, the attendance again will be taken based on who is here. Suzanne is taking the minutes. We will end this meeting no later than 2 hours from the start, which is 8 p.m. for me, 7, 6, or 5, depending on where you are. No, whatever. Yeah, 8, 6, 5, 4, depending on where you are. Minutes have been published from last week in the Docs and Files section, and there's a recording of the YouTube from last week that people can watch if they would like to. Are there any short announcements from outside the group that need to be made tonight? Is there anyone that has anything? Oh, go ahead, Jorge.
Like randomly, like we are resuming our trusted house sitters lifestyle. So we're gonna house it in downtown Mexico City and then in San Miguel Allende. So if anybody wants to learn about that, it is pretty cool. You get to hang out with furry furs and live in places that you never expected. And yeah, it's cool.
That is cool. I do want to hear more about it. Not at this moment, but I do want to hear more about that. All right, I have a request, Ray. And my request is that I just happened to run across something on Will Tuttle's, one of Will Tuttle's websites, that he and Sailesh did a radio show a couple nights ago together. And it would be cool for me if there was a place on Vegan World 2026 that when Sailesh is presenting something in a public fashion, especially on the internet, that it could be posted there and we would be able to see that. I don't know exactly how to do it, but I would have very much liked to have heard that conversation between Will Tuttle and Sailesh. I think it happened 2 days ago, maybe 3. So
anyway, I didn't know about it either.
Okay, well.
Was it on the Facebook maybe?
Oh boy. I think it was on Will Tuttle's. So Will is in the middle of a tour right now. He's in Arizona. And he posted something about doing this conversation with Sailesh on the Vegan Radio Network, which I had never heard. No, the Vegan Broadcasting Network, VBN, which I had not heard of before. And I was just like, damn, had I known, I would have listened to that. So I think Sailesh might be doing things that we don't know about. I would have asked him if he were here, but since he's not here, I thought I'd ask you. Suzanne?
I was going to say that reminded me of Jamin's update. I don't know if he was going to make it now, that Dr. Rao is going to be presenting at the block party for the next 7 weeks, I think. And I was, you know, when I heard that, the first thing I thought was like, how do we get this on the Vegan, you know, World 2026 calendar? And then that opened up more calendar questions too. So, yes, agreed. And Jamin, I don't know if you have anything you want to say about that quickly.
Yeah. I think I emailed to all 3 of you the 7 topics he was going to be covering, so I don't need to go through those now. But basically, from 10 a.m. Pacific time to 12 noon Pacific time, every Friday for the next 7 weeks, including this Friday, Sailesh will not just be presenting, he'll be leading a conversation, and you are invited to participate in that conversation because it's on the block party. So that's the special twist. Yes, you can watch it broadcast. There's nothing wrong with that. Watch away. But you also have the opportunity of jumping in and participating in a very real way, face to face. So that should really be part of the marketing. Over now.
I think the short answer is that the campfire in the HQ, the main section, the lobby of Base Camp, is where, if we know that something interesting is happening and it's just a general topic that isn't specific to any group, like you know, a veganic permaculture meeting or something like that, that would be specific to a group, put it in the campfire, and then everybody gets notified about it. We have to know about it in order to post it. Sailesh has also been on one of my friends' podcasts. I just happened to look at my updated list one day, and he went, "Oh, he's got a new episode," and it's Sailesh. Yeah, that's good to know. A month ago. So I'll share a link to that one as well. It was, I thought it went really well.
Yeah, and he's also doing something with SoFlo Vegans, South Florida Vegans, a podcast for them, which I forgot about when I started this conversation. So I think we need to request of him, can you please post the stuff you're doing? So if those of us in Basecamp want to pay attention to that, we would be able to. So anyway, that was my request. Yeah.
And the HQ section of Basecamp has its own schedule, and that is where we should be throwing absolutely everything that we want everybody to know about. So anybody has the groups for their own meetings, if they're opening the doors and recruiting and trying to encourage people to join whatever their topic, the schedule in their Basecamp section is only going to notify the people that are in that group. So if you want to, each item, I think almost every item in Basecamp, you can copy and send to another group. You could also send it without copying, so like moving it, shifting it to other places too. So if you think a question is misplaced, you could always just, or it's kind of run its course and it's got some overlap with another course, you could answer your question and then send it off to whatever Basecamp group that you think it's most appropriate.
All right, cool. Very cool. Jorge, I'm not sure what this means. There was an opportunity area for collective intelligence event announcements. There's a newsletter initiative.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to drift us off the agenda. I just put that before, like, how come we're the collective intelligence and we don't know about any of this, like it's an area of opportunity. But I also remembered somebody was working on a newsletter, something like Ray? Are you Ray? How, like, is that a good place to say, like, these events are coming through the week or the month, or how? I don't know if that would be like a good channel to communicate what is coming up for the next week. Where's that cat, Ray? Needs the shot?
Somewhere in the bushes back here. This is the deaf one that doesn't know what he sounds like. Yeah, that newsletter was kind of an impulse thing that I was trying to, dredge up the people in Basecamp who have been dormant and not, some of them I swear don't even know that there's groups to join. So I'd send a general email outside of the Basecamp structure, because I know some people are just, tuning out Basecamp, or they've got it filtered in their inbox. So I started typing about the different things that were coming up, and it kind of became a newsletter. And Sailesh said, "Hey, that's a great idea. Keep going with it."
I
haven't thought of it since.
Right. And there's a lot of things going on and a lot for us to figure out. But so now we've got some notes about, and Jorge, your question is a good one. Why don't we know about all of this? Why aren't we sharing this as VCI as well? So that's very cool. Let's figure that out, but not at this exact moment. And our next meeting will be next Tuesday, March 3rd, and Sylvie will be here with me next Tuesday doing the VCI meeting, which is just really exciting. Okay, so the consent to the agenda, are there any reactions, comments, or additions to the agenda that anyone would like to make? Okay, can everyone consent? Perfect, excellent. Then we will go ahead and move on. So as I said, we decided, Benjamin, Suzanne, and I had a conversation yesterday where we talked about all of the things that have been going on both inside VCI and in some of the other groups, and thought that this was a good moment to take a pause and to think about what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it, and to figure out what our next moves are. So one of the issues that has come up repeatedly is how do we welcome new people into groups, and how do we get people up to speed? So we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about that and trying to figure that out. And then the second is the process that we're using to develop the vision, mission, aims, and culture, and how people are thinking and feeling, what people are thinking and how people are feeling about that process, and just making sure that we are on the right track. So those are the two main topics that we are going to talk about tonight, and we're going to go through this using sociocracy rounds. And this is kind of interesting. For me, in sociocracy, the facilitator is both a facilitator and a member, not just the facilitator. And so when I am speaking as a member, I need to say, now this is me as a member, not as the facilitator. And so we'll just kind of figure that out as we go. And the idea of these rounds is that everyone will have an opportunity to speak at least once, and you can take the full time. We have fewer people than I thought we were going to have. So I had timed it at 3 minutes per person, thinking that we would be able to, some people wouldn't take all of that time, but if someone wanted to, I think we should stick with the 3 minutes and see where we get for the first round. And then, and you don't have to speak. You can say, I pass. This is not compulsory, but you have the opportunity to be able to speak. And I'm going to call out a couple of names to start to have this conversation. And we'll go through everyone, make sure everyone has the opportunity to say what they want to say. You can ask questions, you can state, thoughts, feelings, however it is that you would like to do this. So we put at last week's meeting, just to give a little more context, it is written in the agenda. I said that I would offer to put something together to bring back to the group. So I did. This is not a proposal. It's just that I think that having something to react to is often easier than trying to come up with something totally new. So I put something together that said, we would ask people to observe meetings. And then there are these questions about that. Would that include watching recordings before you got to a meeting? Like if you watch 3 recordings, would that count, or do you need to observe in person? And if you have questions, then you would meet with someone that's part of the group. And then there's this other question about, well, what if someone invites a person? Wouldn't they help that person get up to speed before they come into the meeting? And would that really happen, and how might that work? So we put a possible way to think about this in writing. And then there are many other ways. So we're not wed to this particular way. So let's go ahead and start with the rounds, and we'll see where we get to at the end of those rounds. And when we come to the time limit, we will figure out whether or not we need to do some more discussion, we need to reach out to someone else, or we can make a proposal that we're going to go with. Is that acceptable? I'm not asking really for consent, but yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so can I ask, is there anyone who would like to start this conversation rather than me just calling on someone, and then from there I'll start calling on people? Okay, Jamin wants to start. Thank you so much, Jamin.
Well, I would like to, but I'm not at all attached. If somebody else would like to start who's given it more thought, go for it.
I think you are good to go, Jamin. Let's go ahead with Jamin and then Nolan. Yeah. And then we'll move to Suzanne. Mm-hmm. All right?
I think what might be really, really awesome is if we could have like a half-page welcome, letter that we could forward to people who were interested in inviting, along with some links, maybe even timestamp links to like highlights from previous meetings that we feel really shows us at our best, shows who we are, et cetera, And then people have something tangible that they can look at and watch a little bit of, even peruse a little bit, rather than if somebody comes in just totally cold, they might not even know that they need to be quiet, right? They might think, oh, hey, great, and then they just start talking. So it might be nice to have some basic guidelines. And then, our one request of guests is please take a look at this. Let me know when you've read it, if you have any questions, and then love to have you kind of thing. And then and then have a whole process for, I'm not timing myself, so let me know when I get to close to 3 minutes or something. When they show up, whether they show up on time at the start or late, whenever they show up, let's have basically a playbook for how, it could be very simple. We stop and welcome our guest, and Anne might have something that she generally says as the facilitator, acknowledging the guest and whatnot, and so let's just basically have a really smooth and responsible onboarding procedure that's as welcoming as possible, as zero pressurizing as possible, as expectation setting as possible, but also as concise as possible. So we don't disrupt meetings and we don't disrupt their lives, asking them to watch 17 hours of previous recordings before they feel like they're up to speed. To the contrary, the letter would say, listen, just come as you are. If you want to see some previous recordings, great, click here. And in the meantime, here are the basic rules and guidelines, and can't emphasize enough that we just want you here. So please come, check us out, whatever, Here's what we're up to, here's what we believe in. And, just kick that around a bit. Maybe have a meeting or two where we polish all this up, separate from here. But anyway, or maybe we get it all done here. I don't know. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for letting me speak, and great to see you all.
Thank you, Jamin. You've got another 30 seconds if you want to take it.
Yeah, okay, great. And then, let's also, as part of the playbook, let's let everyone maybe say something, or whoever is game. That way the person really feels acknowledged by everyone in the room, right? And let them feel all warm and fuzzy, not like, who's that weird dude with long hair? Is that a man or a woman? Oh, that's Jay. Why does he have a weird sweatshirt? Let him just, hey, what's up? Something that breaks the ice. So let's all collectively break the ice, make the guest feel really warm, welcome, and fuzzy and connected. And then, and we were just talking about this. So, and just have a playbook. That's all. Just be prepared, right? Be prepared and make it smooth, make it warm and fuzzy. And thank you for the time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. When I held my finger up, I didn't say this before, that meant you had a minute left. So I apologize. I'll just hold up one finger so that people know that they're getting close to the time. All right. All right, Nolan.
So to clarify, we're just sharing our thoughts about how to onboard generally.
In any situation that in any scenario that you might think about. So there would be new people who have never been before. There are people who haven't been for the last 6 meetings but used to come. There are people from other parts of base camp that we might be inviting in.
Well, the only thing that sticks out to me is I think it makes a lot of sense to have some compressed or concise material in writing or in video, that it's basically assumed you've consumed this prior to coming to a meeting. Maybe that's something you do on a weekly basis. Maybe it's just something you have that's kind of, it's more general and standing, and then you can, update that as you go along. But I think having that, knowing that everyone's standing on at least that same foundation, information-wise, I think is super important for just getting people on the same page. So, and that's pretty much all that. I mean, I echo what Jamin said as well. And yeah, some icebreaker kind of things would be nice. We definitely want to, I think having the more intimate connections between us are really what drives the whole thing. So even if the new person only gets a only has it good with like one of us, I think that makes a world of difference as opposed to them just dropping in. So that's all I'm saying.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, Suzanne?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with what Jamin and Nolan have said so far. I like the idea. For some reason, I was imagining us emailing people this, but when Jamin was talking, I was imagining something in Basecamp that we could actually, you know, add as a chat item when someone new comes too, like right in the meeting as it's happening. And yeah, just having, you know, if someone shows up new right now, stopping, welcoming them, and having a plan for how to incorporate them and move on. I think I'm done for now. I don't have much more to add.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Patricia, are you ready? And then we'll go to Jorge and Sylvie.
Okay, well, I would like to start the meeting right on time so that those of us who really work hard to get here on time are rewarded, and people just, that becomes kind of a culture thing. And so that if someone comes in late, they can be told, you know, we've already started the meeting, so we're not, we don't want to interrupt the meeting because it stops the flow. So that kind of leads me to an idea of, you know, telling people, please be on time if you want to be in on the check-in. I would suggest that we actually time the check-in so that if a new person comes and they're kind of wordy, that they don't, we can really encourage them, hey, it's, you know, 45 seconds or something. So, because sometimes the paragraph can go for a long time. And I think we need to, this leads to the idea we need to know who is actually are the decision makers in the group, so that a new person coming knows that they don't have the power to make a decision, but they're just observing, like almost like a fishbowl type meeting where people are on the outside looking in. Because, I mean, well, I guess we have to establish why would a new person come? And that gives me the idea that we actually, it's, although this is a great, I mean, we want to make the intimate connections important, it seems like this isn't a place for new people to really interact a lot, because we only have 2 hours a week to do a lot of work. And so that brings up the idea of having some other kind of meeting that really helps people get oriented to the whole Basecamp and welcome them. Like that open house that we had was wonderful with Benjamin and Suzanne. And I guess the question would be, why do we want new people to come? And as of course, you know, we record these meetings, we're very transparent, anybody can listen, but I think it's a little bit, I think it would be really good to establish who are the members of this group. And that's I think I'm done. Thank you. Definitely don't want to stop the meeting to encourage people to come, feel welcome. So.
All right, thank you. Jorge and Sylvie?
Thank you for everyone who brought in ideas already. Like, I really also liked the last one from Patricia about like starting on time and like maybe adding on to this. If someone joins late, especially a new member, maybe we could have like a write-up that we just copy and paste into the chat box directly addressed to the person that joins late, saying that, okay, you should be on mute, or you will be on mute, and if it's a new person, we hope you understand that for this meeting to be efficient and effective, that you can be an observer if you haven't like participated in 3 meetings before, and that we welcome you, but we can't really like deal with, or like we can't really have you as a decision maker yet. So that idea I really like. I would say that yes, it's good to establish a core group and really see who the members of this group are. But I would not say that we should, like, I think the more the merrier. I think it will filter itself out by itself. Not like the people that really want to come, that are really committed, they stay. And those that are just like, okay, I'm checking, and they know the rules, that they can't make decisions. And if they don't like it, they will not come again. So I think, like, with the rules that we would set in place, with the like what they should have watched or read, and like the understanding that they can't make decisions in the beginning, I think that will automatically already determine who is committed enough as a future member. Because if you just want to disrupt the meeting and you're not allowed for like 3 meetings, you're not going to stick around for 3 times 2 hours. So yeah, that's what I think. And I think also like having a summary, okay, 1 minute. A summary, like what Jamin said, and Nolan, that's very good, like something concise, like people don't have to watch everything that has been said or done and all in one document, like everything, not like just look around, okay, this is on the message board. No, it needs to be all in the same document or in the same welcome email, but summarize. And yeah, I know like where we have to probably decide who makes the summary, and like, probably more work for us, but I think that's it for me. Your turn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie, and thank you everybody, because it's part of the collective intelligence to realize that we have more than one way to solve things or to propose. So right now, I've heard things that I never thought about before, and made me realize that we have like a crossroads, like we're standing, no? Like one is to organize inwards, and the other one is to open up to the outside. And I still believe that the sociocracy model can be available to suit us to make all of this happen. So, for example, I heard Patricia saying that this is not the best place to have like a orientation induction space or process. And I half agree with that. And then I hear Jamin saying, like, let's invite people up, no? Like, let's get all the collective intelligence here. And I also half agree with that. So how can we find the edge between both? So maybe the stacking meetings of this model of sociocracy applied to remote working could allow us to say, okay, our actual meeting for the work is going to start at the hour. But if you're going to be new, be sure to be here 15 minutes earlier, half an hour, whatever. So there, we can rotate the function of like not having to be here 30 minutes before and no one shows up. But this is just like a proposal, in not a proposal sociocracy method, but just like thinking, okay, how can we not open up another group in Basecamp for the orientation purposes and divide attention and to have another meeting, but at the same time honor what I'm hearing from Patricia, which I agree, actually, no, like there needs to be like an orientation moment, just in case nature of life escapes all our efforts of having the important summary video that Nolan mentioned, no? Like having a video, like everything is super perfect. They will hear what they need to hear. But some people are like, what video? Huh? Or having the file that explains the process and the rules. And they will come here and say, where is that file? No? And so we do all of these efforts, putting these things and even communicate those verbally in a meeting saying, hey, maybe you don't have access to it because you're not part of the actual group. Do you want access? Yes. Can you see it now? Yes. Okay, thank you. And then a week later, oh, this should be available, but we talked about it last week, you know? So life is so uncontrollable. So maybe go with it at the same time as having fixed processes would be an in-between balance between the left and right side of the brain and to suit everyone. I don't know.
Right. And Jorge, your time is up. So I'm going to take my 3 minutes before Ray, we get to you, partially because in sociocracy, they ask the facilitator not to start or end a round. And Jamin, I see that your hand is up, but we're going to go to questions after we finish the rounds. Okay. So I see that. And Ray, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about yesterday, which also helped to prompt all of this. From my perspective, I mean, as a facilitator, I also need some rules, which means I also believe other facilitators need some rules about how you deal with these things. When someone comes in 20 minutes late or 40 minutes late and starts asking questions about things that we in fact did cover, how do we handle that in a way that honors the person because something in life came up and they could not get here, and we want to honor them and value their input, and yet we don't want to make the other 10 people stop, right, because of that. Or, you know, like Dharmendra is here and his picture's not on, and before, I don't think everyone was here, I asked him if he was going to participate or observe. He wasn't able to answer, so I said, so I'm going to take that as you're observing, not participating, and I'm not going to call on you. Like, but I need to know some of those rules. And then the issue about people coming in, like we had someone new join a different group, the nature stewardship group yesterday, who hadn't been involved in anything and has some real life backgrounds, both educationally and in her work, of doing the work that we're talking about. And yet she completely derailed where it was we were going. And it was very uncomfortable. And I was not the facilitator, I was a member in that particular group, but it was very uncomfortable to try and figure out what to do with that. So I think there need to be some agreements ahead of time about this is how we're going to handle this, and this is why, and to give us a way to move forward through that, because there are a lot of people here putting in a lot of time and effort to understand the way to do things and to do things in the most inclusive way possible. And then these other things happen that ends up moving us in kind of strange directions. And I know there's a way to figure this out. It's just that we have to talk about it and get to a point figuring it out. All right, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. Ray, are you ready?
Yeah, I just finished rewatching that recording of that meeting. Wow, yeah, it's like, as I mentioned, it's kind of the perfect storm of somebody comes in and goes, "I know all about this topic," but now they're landing in a process that we're kind of feeling our way through. We haven't 100% committed to a lot of things in our different groups or across all of base camp. And Elia was also familiar with sociocracy and has been involved in groups that and lots of different study groups. So she felt she had something to contribute, but our ability to say this is how it works was impaired by our, we're not really sure how it works and we're kind of feeling our way through it. And there's a lot of different moving parts that even I'm confused about whether it's an element of NVC or Sociocracy 3.0 or something entirely different. I'm assuming that vision, mission, aims, and culture, that's all part of Sociocracy. I guess that's a question, Jorge. Is that it's originating with you? It sounds like a great system, and it is Sociocracy 3.0 in particular.
Well, I am not aware of what Sociocracy 3.0 is. Like, I haven't studied from that side. My experience is that you need to start from there before even suggesting a governance. You need to start off with figuring out what is your vision, mission, aims, and culture. And that's how I have been running it since I started Sociocracy. I know that there are several branches of Sociocracy. The way I learned it is how I am applying it. But I am not familiar, like, reading any of the books of Sociocracy 3.0. I just learned about James Priest because Patricia suggested a talk with which I find great. Like, I find Sociocracy like a open source that model that can expand and be personalized to the experience of the teacher or the founder of the new company, calling it 3.0, Sociocracy for all, but a general thing is that you need to have like clarity of who you are and what is your work. And you need to know who is your core group. Otherwise, like, who do you get a shared vision with? Yeah, so I don't know if like, answering directly, I don't know if Sociocracy 3.0 is applying the same method that we're using in the process of the VCI, BMA, and culture.
Mm-hmm. I see part of that process is coming together, that after we get those vision questions and those mission questions, the aims questions and the culture questions, and all those other questions that are, obviously need to be answered, but they may not fall into any of those categories. At some point, we've got a group that's able to be a little bit more free form, that has a foundation to build upon. And when somebody comes in and they've got a knowledge base, they're introducing a knowledge base to our culture, then they're able to, adapt to what we've already done and add to it. So we've got a foundation to add to, and we're kind of in a spot right now where we don't really have the confidence in what we've done, but some of these groups are pioneering that, and I think we're going to get better and better at it as we go along. I just wanted to quickly say that there's also what happens in between meetings. We're talking about the structure of meetings and the objectives of meetings. We have topics that are broad enough that I think people can engage in with and just study, have a required reading for our different groups, and almost have like a book club kind of atmosphere where people, for instance, with the nature stewardship, to learn about E.O. Wilson and the Half-Earth Solution and the convivial conservation, which is another alternative to that. And that's something we can do between meetings. Obviously, we're not going to sit there and read during our meetings. We need to apply a bit of studying, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Hey, Ann, can I pop in for a second? This is Dharmendra.
Yeah, absolutely, Dharmendra.
Yeah, I did not hear you tell me or ask me about anything at the beginning of the meeting. So I just figured you were ignoring me for some strange reason. But I forgive you, and it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. But no, may I say anything in relation to all this?
Oh, of course, you
Yeah.
can have your 3 minutes. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if I'll need 3 minutes, but I just wanted to share that some of us have different time constraints and possibilities of participation. My interest in all of this is 100%, but up to now, obviously I have sporadic meeting attendance, but I do watch all the business end of the meetings, meaning everything up to what you participate in, which is all about, you know, the structuring of the VCI core group. So I am very interested in being a part of that. But I can't always be present like this. And this is about, this is the presence I've got today, and then I've got to go right after I speak. But I'm still going to listen to the whole meeting after I leave of everything you guys do. And I think it's real interesting. The whole discussion about new people coming in, and I tend to side a little bit with Jorge and Patricia about, you know, new people and observing and not just jumping in and breaking the flow. I agree. I think that needs to be a little bit more set up to where people can come in and you know, contribute to the meetings in a way that's fruitful with what's going on in the meetings, instead of drawing a lot of attention to what is this about and all that kind of thing. So I think what Jamin says also about having a little preamble somewhere that people can access before they come into the meeting so they know what they're jumping into, you know, to begin with. So that's my 2 cents on all that. It seems like a lot of good points and, you know, about being welcoming, but doing it in the right way so that when people come in, they sort of are adding to it, to the meeting, because this core group is kind of the quintessential, you know, guidance steering committee of the whole thing. So I think it needs to be a little more tight in the sense of, you know, how it runs, because it whatever it does is going to have after effects throughout the vegan world, obviously, whether it's covert or overt or implicit or explicit, it's going to have effects. So I think it needs to be treated as such, as something that's a little bit, you know, more impactful than, you know, any other group at this point. So that's it.
Okay, beautiful, Dharmendra. And I mean, you've got another 30 seconds. So,
well, just hi to everybody, and now I have to go. So I'll catch up with the rest of the meeting by video tomorrow or whenever it's posted, and lovely to see everybody. Take
all right,
care.
thanks a lot, Dharmendra. Have a
Yeah.
great afternoon, evening.
Yeah,
All right.
you too. Thank you.
Jamin, you had your hand up. Let's go ahead and have a little bit of discussion.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ann. And very well handled meeting, I might add. What I wanted to say is that I really think that it's all about balance, and there is a sweet spot. And I would put the sweet spot in roughly the following parameters. That from 4 o'clock to 4:10, that's the time for people to roll in and kind of say hello to each other before we start recording, right? And et cetera, right? So give it about 10 minutes. Why? So that newcomers who really want to be able to be in a non-recorded setting with us, which is totally different than being in a recorded setting, right? Think about your first time. You know, they can have that space. And we just tell them, if you want to, you know, enjoy some of this quiet time, so to speak, just be on time. Show up at top of the hour when we start. And then as far as, you know, disruptions of people coming in during the meeting, I think that's just a tax that we pay in order to attract and retain talent that we really need here in a vegan world 2026 collective intelligence, for myriad reasons that I could go on and on about, but I don't want to, because I just wanted to make this a quick comment in keeping with the general flow. Happy to talk more if called upon.
Okay. Patricia, and then Jorge.
Well, I'm not sure if this relates to the next topic, but I'm really confused about how a group can make vision, mission, culture, aims without knowing who's going to decide that. And so I just, I feel confused about that and hope I put some things in the chat that might, I don't know, there's some ideas I have.
Right. So Patricia, you shared some links to some places, and Jorge added a statement that there's a category about to be discussed. Let's move that. This conversation is specifically about how we include new people, and I understand that there's overlap between the conversations, but let's hold that. Who are the decision makers for the second piece of the conversation? All right. And
Sure.
Jorge, you had your hands up.
No, not really. I sometimes scratch my head. Sorry about the confusion.
No, that's okay. That's all right. So at the end of this discussion round, I decided to leave this open, or we decided to leave this open to decide, do we need more discussion, or do we need to ask the process proposal group to put a proposal together about this and come back next week? And the people who are on that group would need to meet sometime, hopefully within the next week, to actually put a written proposal together that takes these things into account and comes back with a proposal. Is that where we are at this point? Does anyone want to make a statement about that? Or do we want to do an informal consent? Yeah, let's get a proposal put together and bring it back next week.
The proposal would be addressed for people that assist the meeting next time?
The proposal would be about how we bring new people in. And we would write that up based on the things that we just talked about tonight. And so we would come back with a written proposal about how we onboard new people into VCI. And
Okay.
I'm suggesting that the process proposal group do that rather than asking a new group to do it.
Okay, one of the beauties about sociocracy is that instead of presenting the proposal until the meeting, you send it out to all involved or all parties, interested parties, how do you call it?
That works.
So they have a chance to review it, ask clarifying questions, and get clarity before the meeting, because this is exactly what people just go nuts. And I completely identify, like, I
Gotcha.
want them just to
Gotcha.
hang up the call and not, like, after waiting 2 weeks, to get together and get work done.
Yeah.
There was no leadership, no decision making, just like wasting everybody's time, even if everybody needs to be part of. This is not the way to run meetings. It needs to have a process. It needs to be addressed, the importance of having, like, clarity on why we're together, clarity on the roles everybody play during a meeting. So maybe this is a topic for the next part.
No, I totally get it. So we need to put the proposal together and send it out beforehand and give people time to review it and ask clarifying questions before the meeting. So whether we can do that in 1 week.
Yeah, I agree that is the best way to go, but we are overlapping to the next part of the meeting, no? Like, who is, like, after we put all this work, boom, 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 no? Like, proposal, perfect, like, send it out quickly. And there is, out of 350 people, 8 kind of like asking how can I do this? Where do I find this? Is there a deadline? You know, so I find myself in an overload kind of stage right now, where I don't want to really rush taking the honor the go slow to then go fast approach that it was the start of this meeting. I feel like we're going back to that, no? Like, okay, a proposal, and let's do another meeting, and let's put it together, and let's send it out so people can have time to revise it and ask clarifying questions, and then get 2 questions, and then the next meeting almost no one participating. You know, like, I feel that's part of the, how do you phrased it, that I really liked it, like the slowing down to go fast. I don't know if this makes sense and fits into the whole of the slowing down to go fast.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense, Jorge. And I'm unclear what you're suggesting that we do.
I'm unclear also. Like we don't need to, like, I feel that we right now want to have like the fixing, no? Like we want this, like, remember one of our first meetings that we were like, okay, I really want to make it happen. I really feel it. I really want to make things go and feel like we are going on a flow. Like I remember those first meetings, and that is amazing. But somehow it's like when you're in a marathon and you're with 350 people and just the pilot group starts to spread ahead, no? Like unreachable to the rest. And we don't know if we should just like slow our pace and catch up with the rest, or keep going to the finish line. It's kind of like, and how to fix it while you're in the marathon run. No, it's already started. So it's kind of like, maybe just like observe what's going on, sitting with what there is right now. Like, know if there's like a collective trauma going on, or just an overload, or just people need to focus on getting a paycheck to pay their rents and get some food. I don't know, or maybe a mosaic of all these weird variables of life, no? And say, okay, like, do we need to fix it? Like, just us, do we need to fix it right away? Or just go into the conversation of, is this working? Like, who is our core group? Like, what is really going on? Like, is there something that will be fixed just with a proposal, or just by asking questions? Like, so far, I think that I'm going into the next topic. But I think that the next topic is going to be very important, because we need to figure out if this is something that is wanted and who's participating, like who is on board.
Right. Okay, Jorge, I'm catching up with you finally. So the reminding me about slowing down and observing and trying to figure out what is actually going on. And so now, like, I finally clicked in that we need to have this entire conversation, and we may need to have another one before we can do anything, because we are not yet knowing what is actually happening, right? Like, I have to think a little bit more about it, and it took me, I'm sorry, it took me so long to get that. But I do, and we may all need a little bit of support to visualize, and maybe I'm the only one who didn't get it. But the whole thing about backing up and looking at us from outside and trying to see what is really happening inside, certainly VCI and maybe Basecamp and Vegan World 2026, before we try and fix this issue. You're right. I was, again, trying to get right back to, let's get something in place that we can move forward, even though my intent was to slow down, right? So yes. Hang on one second, Patricia. Myra, welcome. I did not stop in the middle because I didn't want to stop the flow of that. We're very happy that you're here. We're at the very end of the first big piece on the agenda, which was about welcoming people, new people in and latecomers in. So we're gonna just kind of sit with that for a moment. And Patricia, we'll take your comments, and then I think it's time for our break so that we can breathe a little bit and think about this, and then come back into the second conversation. Thank you, Jorge.
Yeah, I actually welcomed Myra with the chat. That might be a good way of doing it. And what I would like to propose is that if we keep getting new people in, interrupting when we're trying to make these, I mean, and I'm not saying you, Myra, I'm saying people who are come in and disrupt the meeting. I think this newcomer thing is important to get into place, and I'm willing to just put together a proposal from what people came up with and accept questions and just, you know, bring it back to the group, because we did spend quite a bit of time on this, and I don't really want to see this time wasted, you know.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. None of this will be lost because it is being both recorded literally and written down. And I'd like to let us get through the rest of this meeting before we figure out what it is that we're going to do. And I would really like to take a few deep breaths and take a break at this moment and come back and finish out
Sure.
the second kind of big topic that we have. All right, so let's take a 10-minute break. No, let's take a 5-minute break. And that will give us a chance to get a glass of water, run to the restroom, and then we'll be back. Myra, did you? Oh, and Shankar just showed up. Okay, so Myra and Shankar, welcome. And we are literally at the time for our break, and we will be moving into the second phase, which is item number 7 on the agenda when we come back, which is a discussion about the whole process that we are using. And if you haven't taken a look at the agenda, you are welcome to do so while we take our 5-minute break. So we'll see you all in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. just so people know, we have 2 minutes left on our 3. And, you know, people can talk who are still here during the break time. You don't have to be silent. I stepped away for a moment.
In the permaculture meeting, Greg and I would talk for each of the breaks. we decided that it was a strong bladder club that we had formed, that for some reason we didn't need to take a break.
Hello. Hello, hello.
And do I understand we still have a minute left on break time?
57 seconds.
May I?
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I thought this last session was so amazingly productive because it became an actual conversation, and I thought it was quite efficient. What if we did a similar process, not for the question of onboarding, but for a totally separate question? Who are we and why are we here? And just let people share, not with a view to, oh, we're going to record it and it's going to get finalized. No. To the contrary, this is just an open conversation. So we can kind of check in with each other. Who do we think we are? Who the heck do we think we are? And why are we here? The audacity of us, right? To create a self-governing entity to change the world, etc. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. It's an
Thank you.
interesting thought. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, and our break time is over. So, oh, it looks like we have a couple of chats. Let me take a look at that. Ray says, oh, that's the old. Can someone post the agenda? Oh boy, it's actually,
I'll
I
post
don't
a
have-
link to it. I tried posting the agenda in there one time, and it doesn't format very well. It looks like a big mess. I know how to make a link from the agenda. As long as people are in Basecamp, they should be able to get it.
It's okay if I can just get clear on the topic, I'll be fine. I just have a hard time finding things.
Okay, because we actually post it in two different places within the VCI group. It's under schedule. So where you go, wherever you got the Zoom, wherever you hit Zoom, you know, wherever you clicked to get into this meeting, it was posted below that. If you went down lower, you would see the agenda there. And before we get started on the second piece of the agenda, and I'll describe it since everyone hasn't seen the agenda. But I have to tell you that I sit down for about 15 minutes before I facilitate something, sometimes longer. Today it was 15 minutes. And I look at the agenda and I think about what my intention is for the gathering. I think about what feeling I want to have, what I'm hoping the outcome will be. And of course, it doesn't always work that way. And it doesn't always work, but I attempt to do that. And when I looked at this agenda, I thought, it's too much for one meeting. I didn't think that when I wrote it, right? But in that 15 minutes, as I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about the people who are here, and I'm thinking about the things that happened over the last few weeks and the level of emotion around this, and I'm thinking, it's too much to try to get through in a 2-hour period with a break with all of us. And yet the agenda was already out, and I didn't start by saying that. I didn't say, you know, this may take longer, and I probably should have. So as I'm now thinking about facilitating the second piece and the fact that it is 7:20, so we have 40 minutes left, and we have at least a 50-minute agenda listed here. I I don't want to give up the time that we have. So I'd like to start the conversation. I'd like to do the rounds. I'd like to shorten the rounds to 2 minutes instead of 3, and see where we get at that point, and probably have some back and forth discussion, and then probably allow it to sit and not rush to make decisions on either of the things that we've discussed tonight, and give it some time. So that's where I am at this moment. Let's have this conversation, and then we'll have that conversation again at the end. So the agenda item is that this is a reflection discussion on the process that we are using to develop the vision, mission, aims, and culture. And we have been following a process that Jorge introduced us to that comes from Sociocracy, in which we collect, synthesize, answer a number of questions, as many questions as people have, that will lead us to be able to form statements about our vision, mission, aims, and culture. I think many people, because I've seen some things written, and I've been in conversations where people have said, these questions are really fascinating and the answers are really fascinating. And they're taking us someplace. And it's taking more time, because we all don't have 40 hours a week to do this, and this isn't the only thing that we're working on, and all of that. So this is simply a discussion. Again, you are free to ask clarifying questions. You are free to make statements of thought or feeling. And we're going to do this in a round, and I'm going to time it at 2 minutes per person. And we'll see how that goes. So I will hold up one finger to say, hey, you got 1 minute left. And then I will hold up a 0 to say you're out of time if people are still talking. And then I will gently break in so that we can keep this moving, and so that everyone has the opportunity to talk. And again, I'm going to ask for someone to start, and then I'm going to call on people, and I'll try and call on 2 people at a time to be able to do this. Does that make sense with a nod or a thumbs up? No, thumbs down. Jamin, you have an objection?
When you say 2 people at a time, can you please clarify?
Oh, right. So I would say Nolan left, but Jamin and then Nolan, so that one person gets a little heads up, the other person doesn't. So I might say Patricia and then Suzanne, or Myra and then Jorge. Yeah. Okay. All right. So who would like? Is there someone who would like to start? Patricia would like to start. Okay. Excellent. And after Patricia, then I will call on Suzanne.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to celebrate that we're all together, and I know, some of us have had some challenging interactions, and we're working them out, and I just I do think that the process that we're all going through has been helpful for us to deepen our connection, build trust. Maybe we're in the process of building trust. Yet at the same time, I still just have this uncomfortable feeling about it, kind of like, how can we make decisions without knowing who are the decision makers? And how can we establish roles, because that needs to be made by consent by people who know each other. And I just have this idea that, like, when I looked at the answers to the questions, it's like they were opposite answers. So I'm just confused as to how, if we have to go through each question and figure out by consent what the answer is, it's just really overwhelming to me. And so I guess that would be a question. And I'll just complete by saying, I just feel like saying, let's just decide who this group is that's making decisions, and see if Sailesh is okay with the people, and and then we just do something faster that and just get this. I'm okay with going fast with vision, mission, culture, because I think we all kind of know what it is. It's there, and it all can be built on. Thank you. And I render my time to whoever's.
You're out of time, but thank you, Patricia. Suzanne.
Just joking.
Would you mind if I pass for now? I'm sorry, I don't.
No, of course. Yeah, that you don't have to be sorry about that whatsoever. Not
Thank
in
you.
the least. Okay. Ray and then Shankar.
I passed you.
Wow. Okay. Shankar. You got to be unmuted. Shankar, you have to unmute.
Sorry, it froze. I'm sorry, I'm back. Sorry, I had a long day. I'm still open. Like I didn't get a chance to catch up on the things that we had. Even last couple of days, I'm totally out of the room. I still want to see where we go. Like I'm a little bit open and patient. Like some days we will feel like we don't have anything. Some days we will feel like we got all the answers. Some days we are like, hey, we just got to do. Let's do it. So I'm open for all the season. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Myra?
Well, I was here late. I was having a little bit of trouble. Sorry. I was having a little bit of trouble signing in. I don't know why. I had a different ID, and I don't know how I got that ID. And I had to email Jackie or text her and ask her if she could just send me the Zoom link. So because I'm here late, I really don't know what are we talking about. I do want to, I mean, I know Jamin right now, he said that if we would just talk about what are we doing here. I don't know if this is what the purpose of talking right now it is. I did wanted to talk a little bit about the frustration that I feel within Jorge, because I've been in his shoes and it's not fun. And I don't want to excuse myself because I'm probably the first one that I haven't answered those questions. Okay. When we have like 1 and 2 minutes, it makes it also very stressing, because then we're trying to put things together, but then we're also thinking about the time that is limited. But anyways, whenever there's a space open, I do want to talk about Jorge's proposals and also talk about why I'm here. I don't know if my 2 minutes are over.
Not yet. You've got another 30 seconds.
Okay, maybe I will talk about what Jamin said right now, to just say why we're here. And the reason why I'm here is because I am trying to solve a big situation that we have in front of our eyes, and not to solve it, but to be a part of the solution. And out of all the things that I've done research for, I think this is our only path that we have with under a dark tunnel. This is like the only light for me, and this is why I'm here to support. Am I done?
You are now. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and take my turn as a member of the group. And then I want to go to Jorge and Sylvie and Jamin. Is that, and we'll go back to Suzanne and Ray after Jamin if you guys want to take your time at that point. So in terms of this process, I am finding this process of collecting questions and synthesizing them and answering them and then putting a proposal for the language together to be really fascinating. And the questions that have come up are leading us to a place I believe, where the entire group will have a profound understanding of what it is that we are doing. I also think that it's a really, at minimal, complicated process, and maybe even a complex process to work through. And I'm honestly not sure if everyone wants to do that. I have, in my previous life, almost always come into organizations that already had their vision, mission, aims, and the governance structure set up. Sometimes I have been involved with changing that, but I've never been involved at the very beginning. And I've never been involved in an organization that was, 99.9% volunteer, and with people who don't have an actual background in the topic that they are working on. And I know some people do, but most of us don't. Most of us have come here from somewhere else. We didn't go to school in environmentalism or climate science and all of that. And I only have 40 seconds left. And yes, I get that that is stressful. And I also get that it allows all of us to have an opportunity to speak. So having said that, like, there's this huge part of me that wants to continue with this. And if it takes us 2 or 3 months, so what? If it gets us to a place where we can accomplish phenomenal work. And I also believe very strongly in the asset-based community development philosophy that we should never do anything that nobody wants to do. And there are times that I feel like I am pushing and pulling people. And that's not something I want to do. Oh, and there is my time. So thank you. Okay. Jorge and Sylvie, are you ready?
Okay, yeah, like it's interesting that we want to find out who we are and what is our work. But when a proposal is made on how to do that, all these things start to pop out, no? Like, are they going to control me? Who is this guy proposing this? Like, like all of these things start to come to surface, and we're missing the beauty of the opportunity of having a chance as vegans or pre-vegans or whatever you want to call it, to organize. Because I believe that we still have a chance to make this world what we say that we want it to be. But when it comes to when it comes to seize the opportunity, we are trapped in the old ways and in the old paradigm and in the old world of fear and distrust and stress and deadlines and all of these things that really makes no sense. So, as I said, this is a model that I only see working with people believing in themselves, putting it into action. Like, I don't believe in the technology itself. I don't know if that makes sense to everyone, that what I'm saying. Like, we need to come from a position of believing in us and being on top of things and having clarity of our priorities. If we're not there, we start to rely again on the model of, tell me what to do. When's the deadline? Like, I don't see the link, like, we need to show up organized. We have it in us. We have it in us. If we don't take this chance, like, we are this little compared to the organized matrix. We need to organize, we need to collaborate, but only if we want to, and if we come from a place of believing in us, in each one of us. And that can't be given to you with inspiration talks or with this or that. Like, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvie.
Yeah, I took some notes just to not forget so many things that had been said already that I want to refer to. Like, first of all, Patricia's concern about who are the decision makers. Yes, I get this. Like, if we are in a process that like includes everyone, like, are we using decision makers? Are we the core people that answered the questions? Are we the decision makers automatically? Like, how do we decide on this? On the other hand, I also think like everyone had the chance to contribute. So like whatever we do in the end, like it's easy to complain afterwards, but you had your chance. So I think, hey, and maybe a way forward would be to, for now, synthesize some of those answers that where we are clear on, where a lot of people have maybe a similar answers, or where people gave like a thumbs up to someone else's answer, or the answers that are super clear, no? Like what is VCI? And have at least these figured out in a sense to also move forward, because I also sense this frustration that we want to move forward, but we also want to slow down. But in a way, I feel the slowing down, if we drag this on for 2 months and then nothing else gets, like we always only discuss about the vision, mission, aims in each meeting, and people get bored and maybe they don't want to be part of that group and contribute to it. So I feel also that frustration. And if there's only a few people interested in that process of vision, mission, aims, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe they have other strengths. Maybe they focus on other things. Maybe they're stronger thinking in research and they rather do this and say, okay, whatever, I'm fine with whatever vision, mission you come up with. I trust you. So that's my thinking about the whole process.
Beautiful time. Oh, hey, stop. Shut up. Sorry. Okay. Jamin, I was not saying that to you. I was saying that to my phone. So Jamin, and then we'll go back and ask Ray and Suzanne if they would like to. Oh, nice carrot. We'll come back. Go ahead.
Well, very good. First of all, Sylvie, I'm so glad you went right before me, because I totally agree with what you said. And now I'm going to pile on top of that with my own personal twist. And I'm going to say this in an exaggerated way. I'm just kind of emoting a feeling, okay? So please don't take me literally, and it's not meant to be judgment or anything like that. I just got to be me. So here comes. This is Jamin being me. Okay. It feels like what we did before the break for me was just a breath of fresh air. Finally, we get to talk about, something real that's not a bunch of process and stuff like that. Yes, I get the importance of all this sociocracy stuff and the process and everything. But what if we had spent half the time on that instead of what feels to me like all the time? I'm sure it's all chunked out and different things. But for me, it just feels like all this processy stuff, and I'm going crazy. And what if we had spent half the time on that, meaning we had maybe achieved half of the process, wherever we were half the process ago. And then we spend the other half of the time having actual conversations about stuff that's really at the heart of it, starting with who are we and why are we here? Starting there. And then from there, we can go into all kinds of creative directions, right? But, in addition to just broccoli, 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 how about some pie and coconut ice cream? Right? Let's mix it up a bit. So I'm all about broccoli, but just not 100% broccoli. Make the meal fun again. Okay. Thanks all for listening again. No judgment. I'm totally trusting everyone, and Benjamin, Suzanne, Jorge, everyone. I trust you all. So I'm just being me and just explaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamin. All right. Suzanne, are you wanting to take your time, or are you still passing?
I think I have to pass. Sorry, I don't have my thoughts together.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because I'm typing at the same time. I don't know what it is, but it's yeah. Sorry.
That's fine. Again, you don't need to apologize. Ray, would you like your time?
Yeah, I wanted to do just test this system of having governance for each one of the study groups, and people getting together to decide what these the burning questions are for the group. If somebody came along and their philosophy was completely different from everything they had gone before, and they wanted to express that, would it be feasible for a newcomer to say, "Yeah, I got a bunch of new ideas that you guys haven't thought of. I'd like to do a presentation," and you just pick another time that isn't part of the structured meeting to get them to present what they have, or invite them to present it. Or I was thinking of the example of the nature stewardship group, where Keith and I said, Keith asked me, "Can I start up this group?" And I said, "Yeah." Or are we going to talk about E.O. Wilson and the Half Earth solution? Is this the group to talk about that? And he said, "Yeah, I think so." And then Jorge, it might have been the first meeting, brought up convivial conservation, which is a critique of that system, I believe, based on the video that I saw, and builds upon it in a more radical way. So I was just thinking, if that happened later, say in meeting 5 or 6, it would make sense for us to go, "Well, Jorge, I want to know about this convivial conservation. Would you do a presentation on it?" And then it may not have anything to do with any of the questions that we've got established so far. As it turns out, I've built some of those questions into, I've offered some of the questions to compare these two schools of thought, and how veganism, can build upon them and make them way better than whatever they're offering. So somebody at some point said there's a lot of studying that can go on between the meetings, and I kind of perked up my ears and said, that sounds great, because that involves anybody that wants to get involved at any time, even people that can't make it to meetings, that don't have that haven't participated in this process.
Right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Are there additional questions or comments that people want to make now that we've got about 8 minutes left in this part of the agenda? Yes, Myra?
Yes. I would like to propose to the entire group, if there's a possibility that we can work on those questions all together here. Like, instead of just spending time doing because for me it sounds like school homework kind of, and a lot of us, don't take me wrong, but a lot of us don't have the time. We barely have time to make up this little bit of time to come and interact with each one of you guys. So if there's a possibility that we can definitely work on those questions, let's say, for example, Jorge, as the first questions, we each gonna have a notebook and a paper, and we each write the answer. The second questions, we're not gonna say it, because then that's gonna make it a very long. We don't want another 24-hour block party. It will be nice, but we don't want it. Not at this very moment with this little people. But just work together as a group, and I think that will make it very interesting. And then at the end of all the questions, then we send it out to you, and then you review them, and then you give us a presentation with everybody's different points of views of every answer. That's a suggestion, because I can sense that you do have a frustration, because it seems like we're not getting nowhere. Like, where are the answers? And I'm the first on the line that has not completed those answers. So, and the reason that I'm telling you that I know how you feel is because I'm the vice president for a worldwide nonprofit organization here in the United States. And believe me that I had been working, and we all had been working so hard for 2 years. And guess what? We didn't get nowhere. We didn't get nowhere because there was no, I will make it like a long conversation going into details why we didn't get nowhere. but there was a lot of hierarchy, there was a lot of bureaucracy, and I definitely agree with the way you're bringing this new with the what is it, sociocracy, or what is it?
Sociocracy.
Sociocracy. Sorry. I love it.
Myra, I unfortunately, you're at 4 minutes. So I'm going to ask if anyone wants to continue or to ask another question at this point, and let's get at least one more. Yeah, Shankar.
Yeah, I overall like the process. I like the process, but I can also see, I can imagine this as like a food, okay? Like if you're hungry, if I come and put bunch of grains on the plate, you're like, oh, is it not cooked yet? I am hungry right now. So I think it's more like a expectation, people at a different level, like we all want solutions, we all want something to be done. So what I feel is, this is my thing, please feel free to correct me or set me in the direction. So maybe like some of them are just want like a quick juice. Some of them are like, I want to cook, I want to bring the outcome because I'm worried about serving for the whole year or for the whole. So maybe we can also do a combination. So I'm thinking there will be several audience and audience with the several participation levels. And some are like dependent on people, some are dependent on process, some are dependent on information. So it's a flavor, and as a humans, that is what we are. So maybe how we can also, I love that sociocracy, how we can also, now we have even more to accommodate.
Jorge?
Sorry, Shankar, can you repeat the last thing? How can we what?
So now we have even more to accommodate.
I don't get it. More to what?
Accommodate.
Accommodate. Okay.
Yes. So now, so if I have to say, we thought we are just a group of horses or something, but we are a zoo or a sanctuary. That means what? There is a bird, there is an animal, there is an insect, there is everything. So it's good. It's good. Each of them, some operate only in a day, some operate in a week, some operate short term, some operate long term, and some want to see results. Some want to be like, I know whatever you do today, it won't take you there for the year. You got to plan long term. So it's a combination of like the people, what they want to do. And that's why I'm giving the food as an example. Somebody just wants fast food. They just want to eat it right now. And they are like so much energy. They just want to do it right now. Some are like, I'm planning my meal plan for over a time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Jorge, did you have more that you wanted to add?
More even. Because the process, I believe, that is giving us already so many things. Like Anne mentioned, that she's enjoying just to read the questions. So more important than answering the questions, remember that even if we think that we're out of the matrix and that we're trailblazers, illuminators, whatever you want to call yourself, no? I always ask myself, like, how can I tell I am an illuminator? How can I tell that I'm a trailblazer? How do I know that I'm out of the matrix and wanting to show the path to everybody that is still dormant? How can I tell that I am out? And one of the things that I ask myself is, if I am out, where I am in? I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but it's like, are we really out? Like, are we really out of the trauma, out of the patriarchal thinking of answering, fixing, boom, boom, boom? Like, it is not a question of answering. Like, it is a question of understanding why you are doing this. And just sitting with the questions, like, I need to chip in, no, and say whatever, or I have the pressure of not falling behind. Like more than that, it's just like observing, like, do I really need to go on in autopilot?
Yeah. So I have to say that at this moment in time, I find myself in a really interesting position, because in my old way of facilitating, I know exactly what I would be doing. In this moment, I don't. And I really dislike it, and I really love it. So that sounds really, you know, I don't know what, very weird. I am going to ask that we sit with this for the next week, and we can talk back and forth on message board or with email or in the chat. We can answer those questions. We can synthesize them more. What, you know, we if you're so moved to do that, that would be fine. But I'm going to ask that we sit with this and we think about what it means to back up and try to see ourselves from being outside of ourselves. Imagine being someone else and looking at what is happening here and what the best next move would be, trying not to rely on the old system, trying to imagine what this world actually looks like that we are trying to create, so that our movements, our dance is the new dance that we don't even know yet. So that's what I am asking you to do, because honestly, I don't know what else to do. Jamin, I think you had a hand up. Go ahead, we'll take you, and if there's one more, Patricia, also short statements, and then we're gonna do our checkout, all right?
Okay, very short statement. First, a historical footnote, and then the statement itself. Historical footnote. During the French Revolution, they made cafes illegal because they saw them as the breeding ground of revolution. So let's create a space outside of the office. Here, everything is prescribed and has to be quick and all that. Why don't we designate some time during the block party to come and have a happy hour hangout outside of the office? And Anne won't be watching unless she's there. I'm just poking a little fun here. But really, you know, it won't be like prescribed. We can just freaking hang out. Anyway, I'm putting it out there. Let me know if you're interested, and then we can put it up literally on the agenda. Happy hour.
I think you ought to put it on the agenda, and who shows up, shows up. And if they don't show up, they don't show up. I mean, it's like, you know, if you can make it, you do. If you can't, you don't.
Yeah,
and,
I'm just asking for some co-pillars. Some people who say, yes, I really want to do that. I want to be there. Count me in, and here's when it works best for me. That's all I'm saying. Just reach out.
Okay, so people will send that or hang around afterwards to have that conversation. Patricia, you wanted to say something?
It's okay. Let's go to closing.
Okay, is everybody, let's see. Yep, all right. So our checkout was the simple, what are you leaving with tonight, this afternoon, whatever time it is. What are you walking out of this space with? And let's go ahead. I'm going to start at the bottom of my screen and go clockwise. So Ray, on my screen, you're first, and then Shankar.
I feel like we're going in good directions, that we have a lot of tools that we're learning how to use. And we have, I think, well-placed trust that they were designed by people who knew what they were talking about and have taken it through the paces. So I think that we're going to be looking back on this and going, yeah, we got it all figured out.
Okay, cool. Shankar?
Yes, I like how the system is getting robust to handle even more complex, at the same time cater what we need. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Suzanne, Myra, and then Patricia.
I'm feeling very grateful for you all. Jorge, I'm going to contemplate the questions that you post to, you know, why am I here? What? And I look forward to talking to you all again soon.
Myra?
Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. And I'm looking forward for our next meeting and the block party on Friday. I don't know. I'm just too excited about the block party now. Like, I'm just waiting. I've been inviting so much people, even my neighbor and everything, making them excited. So I'm excited. It almost feels like a real party, especially because last Friday, it was 2 a.m. and I didn't want to log out. My eyes were literally closing, but it got so intense and so interesting with this guy, the guy with the beard. I don't remember what was his name. I think Douglas, something like that. Yes, it was so intense. And it's like, oh my God, this is what we want. Like a fun, and at the same time, it's like watching a movie and then you're a part of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it gets scary and then it gets intensified and then it gets funny and it's a little bit of everything. Yeah, I'm looking forward on Friday for it.
Okay, excellent, Myra. Thank you. Patricia.
Well, I have seen this in so many groups where there's the people who like the structure, some people and the process, other people don't. And it's like and I know I've been in the position of being criticized for wanting to have a certain structure. So, well, what I'm leaving with is I have hope that we will find this balance, and I am glad we're going to be reflecting, and I think that's a really wise decision. And I did enjoy being with all of you, and I really appreciate that you timed. That was really, really helpful.
Okay, thank you. Jorge, Sylvie, and then Jamin, and I'll finish up.
I think that it's all good right here, right now. Like, this is for something. Huh? And we fail, and it doesn't matter. And I think I've said these words before, but maybe it was in another meeting. There's no traced route for where we're going. Like, we are in a moment of complete uncertainty in front of us, behind us, on our right, on our left, above, below, and inside. And we can go into anxiety and give in to alcohol, start to do all the destruction because it's in us, that potential, or we can show up and say, this is the time I was born for. But we really need to believe it. If we don't believe it, it won't happen. We failed already. So don't worry about failing.
Wow. Thank you. Sylvie.
I feel like the old side, or like my old way of doing things is like, no, I want to get things done and it's not moving fast enough and I'm really impatient. And like, I think the way like this slowing down is like a reoccurring thing for me now. Like, it's like my lesson. Like, I have to reflect and to think what I really want, or why I really want this, and why I want to be part of this group. Because I'm the person that rather does things and not like to maybe distract yourself from really thinking deeply about what she wants. But yeah, it's tough. In the beginning, I was like, no, more slowing down. But now I feel like, yeah, probably that's right, because I'm also one of those who says it's all too much. No, like I'm part of several groups, and like you're bombarded on Basecamp with so many messages, and there's so much going on. It's like almost a full-time job to follow everything, and like including all the links that are in there in the messages. So yeah, in a way, it is probably good to slow down. And I lost what else I wanted to say. It's probably for a reason. So yeah, thank you everyone for the process. I remembered what I wanted to say about Jorge's mentioning of failing. I think like we're not really failing. It's just like a learning path or a learning process. Like a failure is just makes us stronger. Like we come out stronger.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sylvie. Jamin.
Thank you very much, Anne and everyone. It's 5 o'clock, so I'll be brief. I really appreciate having the space to share what I shared today, and I really hope everyone will, give it some thought. And I feel really good about the fact that we're going to carve out some time in the block party to have a happy hour for Vegan World 2026 Collective Intelligence. For me, that's going to take a lot of the pressure off. And so I have a request for all of you. Please listen to the following question. And then please give me your answer, not now because we don't have time, but either in the after party, so in a few minutes, or via email. But it's on you to communicate to me. Is that fair? Because I don't know who you are, right? I'm not going to track each of you down in the middle of the night and come knocking and wake you up. Okay, heaven forbid. Anyway, that's my request. The request is, during the happy hour at the block party, is there anything that we don't want to talk about or don't want to share? Be they spreadsheets, documents, discussions about how we think this is going. Oh my goodness, are we airing our dirty laundry? And it's not fair because the rest of the group isn't there. Just take that and think about it. And if you have an answer for me, tell me. That's it. And love you all so much. Super happy for today's meeting. For me, this has been the best meeting by far, by my measuring stick, because it's mixed it up a bit. It's not just, Anyway, love you all so much. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Jamin. So my checkout is that I am fascinated with where this is going. And I actually have like butterflies in my stomach about the potential. It's like we are making a shift, that there is a shift happening in which we have the possibility of really coming together and doing something extraordinary. And exactly what that is, I don't know. I also know that I have to hold it very lightly. I've said this a whole bunch of times recently. I have to hold it really lightly, and I have to not be attached to the outcome. So showing up, looking as objectively as possible at what the highest potential for this group could be, and for myself inside of this group, is deep and profound and kind of humorous at the same time. I'm trying hard to see each of us humans in the same way that I see each of the animals in the world, and making sure that we stay on this even footing with them. And that brings up a whole bunch of things. So I'm just going to leave that. I spend a fair amount of time thinking about that. But to bring equanimity about all of this, and to hold it lightly, and to not be attached to the outcome. And I think that will get me the furthest that I can possibly go. So thank you very much. I am finding this whole thing fascinating, and really beginning to enjoy it in a way that I had not before. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you next week. We will figure out what the agenda is going to be before that, and we will get it out to you. And in the meantime, please have all the conversation that you want in the chat room or at the campfire, and at the message board, and at the block party. So I am going to step away. I know Jamin is going to continue with the open part of this party, and I'm going to go eat my dinner since it is 8 o'clock. And thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Enjoy dinner. Have a great night.
Oh, thanks so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone. I'm going to take off too. It was good to see you.
Oh, and tell Benjamin that we are sending positive thoughts and love his way, to his back.
Yes.
Thank you. I will.
All right. Bye.
I just want to say that I was eating the carrot while I was on camera, and then I turned off the camera and I ate a muffin.
Uh-huh. Was it carrot muffin? Carrot cake muffin.
No healthy ingredients, but vegan.
I still see your recording. Is it continuous?
It is continuous.
All right.
And if anyone ever wants to pause, whether now or at any other time, just do this, even if it's mid-sentence. I'm happy to pause. And on that note, do we want to take a break before the after party proper, or just roll with it? What are people's preferences?
I am fine if it continues. I'm just going to excuse myself for a toilet break, but I will be back.
Well, look, why don't we all take a toilet break? You know,
okay, cool.
It's 5 after. Why don't we meet back again? Let's be generous and say at 11 after.
Okay.
So I'll pause recording in the meantime. Feel free to keep talking, of course, but I'm going to pause recording in the meantime. Okay, after a short break, just expressing all my gratitude for you all for participating so generously in the Friday, Saturday block parties. So much fun. And wow. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is that, whereas in weeks past I've hung out for a long time on these after parties, here's the thing. I'm really trying to find some work-life balance, so to speak. And so I might slow down a little bit my participation, but that doesn't mean that, let me put it this way. If people want to stay on longer than I have time to stay on, please do. And if you want to record, I can keep the recording running and, just turn it off after everyone leaves. So there's total flexibility there. That's what I'm trying to say. I might be good for about an hour. I need to go to Seattle and, see my mom tomorrow. And, there's just all this personal stuff I need to take care of. And the thing is, when you do the block party for 24 hours straight, right, then the next thing isn't necessarily to sleep. You need to kind of slow down the rocket ship, right? Because we go into such a magical place, this otherworldly place, right? It's no place and it's every place. It's here on earth and it's up in the clouds. It's us being normal human beings, but it's also collective superintelligence. It's all these things at once. It's all these dualities at once, right? Anyway, it's quite a trip to be on it for the full 24 hours. So you kind of need to come down from outer space a little bit and then sleep and then, chill out. And anyway, so it just takes, it's not a toll. I mean, I love doing it. But anyway, that's me being a bit long-winded. And any other comments I know all of you have actually participated very generously, very, very generously in the block party. So I'll turn it over to all of you. I'd love to hear from you. And, then we can also talk about the happy hour that we want to do, which is it's kind of like this, but even in a different space. Part of a whole separate recording, part of a whole separate thing. But anyway, and anything else anyone else wants to talk about, that's just what I have on the top of my head. So going on mute, love to hear from whoever wishes to share. And if that's nobody else, that's fine.
It's okay. If I mention that I'm really happy to hear that you're having a life-work balance and going out with family and to see your mom. That sounds great, because we have talked about this, being in front of a camera, it's wow, like I feel it in my body and I see you and you go for the 24 hours and I guess today you have been on for more than 5 hours already and you're still doing another one. So I'm happy to see that. And I'm also happy to hear that the block party is taking off and so many things are happening. And I wanted to ask if there's still a space for our project to be on this Friday, and if it's not, it's fine. We can do it.
No, absolutely yes. There's space. What time window would you like to would be best for you, and then we can work with that. First, you know, when would be the best time for you this Friday?
Whenever you have the opening, is fine. Like an hour and a half.
Okay, perfect.
Less.
Okay, I'll send you an email very shortly on that. I'll put that top of the list. And
like I said, if it's better on the next Friday, let's do it on the next Friday.
But let's talk for a moment about what topic or topics you want to cover.
I'm seeing that you are being cut off, so sorry if I don't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's on my side. It's on my. It's just
Okay.
that my internet is unstable right now.
I understand. So, what topic or set of topics, group of topics, would you like to talk about this Friday?
Well, maybe the natural solution aspect of the Worldwide Community Food Forest Network. Like, how do we see that maybe collaborating in the same level as the SRM ocean mirrors, floating mirrors? Like maybe to explore that, like to see if we can get feedback against and in favor on this proposal that we have been putting together over 2 years, exploring the possibilities of creating the world that we say that we want to see. So yeah, like it would be like this blurb, something like that, no? Like to present whatever we presented before, but like the way that we want to do things is to give people the chance, if they want it, to look at the presentation beforehand. Not the video only, also the presentation that we would broadcast. Like to go quickly through it, just like to add comments, boom, 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 and then right away open it to discussion, to generative conversation around it, and perhaps co-create it or whatever happens at the end of just a quick slideshow, giving the possibility of people to look at it before, so they don't say, what is in that slide? No, like you have the link already to download it, and you can see it quickly now and review it after the discussion. And if you have the time, read it before even the time slot begins. I don't know if that format works for the live event, but if it's good for you to give it a try in the good enough for now, safe enough to try, let's go for it. Or if you rather talk about it more, we can talk about it more and adapt. But that would be like the proposal.
Yeah. Well, I just have some very quick feedback for you. First of all, I love it, number one. Number two, I have 2 requests to go kind of at the beginning of it. One is that you create a rich context for it. So in other words, instead of just jumping in and saying, hey, this is what the Worldwide Community Food Forest Network is, let me show you the details and imagery, and this is how it would work. Whoa, way before that, say, here's a context. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. You know, life and community and love and regeneration for all being, you know, whatever your big kind of purpose is, but make it very conversational. That would be my first request. And then number 2, answer either explicitly or implicitly the question that some people might be thinking, which is, hey man, we got to do SRM first and foremost. Why the heck are we even messing around with forests when we need to put out the fires, right, that are happening already? So maybe, you know, somehow address that. Those would be my 2 requests. Other than that, I love it. I love the topic, and I'm really glad you're going to be screen sharing and presenting slides that'll make it very visual for people. And then especially after creating that rich context, It's just going to be a wonderful discussion. So I would just say, please plan on, let's carve out a couple hours, right? And get into it. That's what I would do, so that we're not in a hurry, right?
No, not at all. Like, what I like about the block party is that it feels like it goes forever. I don't know. I'm saying that in a good way.
Exactly.
You know?
It's exactly. You know, it's like the difference between going to an American party in the United States and a Mexican party in Mexico City. The American party is going to end at 11 p.m. and if you're there at a quarter after 11, you're going to feel uncomfortable. In a party in Mexico City, they won't let you leave all night long, right? We ain't going anywhere. So sit down, shut up, have another beer, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's the difference. Anyway, thank you, Jorge. Oh man, so cool. And Maida, I really enjoy it. Look, I know you're busy now, so if you can't talk, don't even worry about communicating anything. We understand you're busy by default, so don't worry about it. But whenever you'd like to share, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts and feelings about the block party, because it sounds like you're really feeling the magic of it, right?
Yes, I am. And you know what? I was thinking right now as I'm washing dishes and I'm cutting onions and just, I am not in the present, but it's okay. I'm more into the future and from here to Friday. I was thinking if you would like to also, like we did last week, like dedicating one segment of 1 hour for young people. If you want to dedicate 1 hour of a segment for Spanish-speaking people.
I love it.
Yes, you can. I mean, I can definitely invest my time today and tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow actually, to look more into the whole SRM. Like I can review the first meeting that we had with Wei. Is that his name? The scientist from Harvard.
Yay, Y-E, yay. Yeah, like,
okay.
Yay.
I better not tell him Wei.
I wait.
If you know what I'm talking about. Okay, yay. Yeah, I can definitely invest time today and tomorrow to really look into that and to get myself informed in case I get some odd questions and have the answer for it. And just talk about it in Spanish for an entire hour. I can bring my public from the organization and just other family members, people, friends, Spanish-speaking people. And
I love it.
And that will give you time also for you to have a break.
Oh my goodness, I love it. So what, if you could think about what time would be best, probably maybe better in the evening when people are kind of more relaxed, early evening. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, or it could be late afternoon. You think about it, let me know.
You tell me, because you're the person that is there most of the 24 hours. So you tell me, like, according to your schedule, what will work better for you.
Yeah, it's pretty flexible, actually. And so what I'm thinking is just maybe like 6 in the evening, Pacific time, which would be 7 o'clock your time. That might be a very nice time to give it a little break.
Okay.
I think that would be out like from 6 to 7. So for Arizona time, it'd be 7 to 8.
Okay, then let's do it.
It's almost 6:30 for you right now, right?
Let me look at the time. Yeah, 6:26.
You're still an hour ahead. Let me know. Well, actually, we'll know. You never change your time zone, so it's only when we change that I need to worry about it. Okay, Arizona is constant. Okay, good to know. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an hour later for you, so that'd be like 7 to 8.
Okay.
Does that work? What do you think?
Oh, that works.
That way it's evening. People, it's Friday evening. People are in a good mood. They're kicking back. Hey, yeah, let's join the party, kind of thing, right?
In Spanish, yes.
7 to 8, it's party time. And then you know what else we could do? If you wanted, after that, if you wanted to continue the party in Spanish, we could start a separate video conference after that, because you know us, right? Us Spanish speakers. When we get together on a Friday night and we start talking, we don't want to stop, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, think about that and who would be willing to lead that, right? Because to be there means to not be in the other. But here's the cool thing. Imagine we then start jumping back and forth.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. We'll see how it goes this Friday, and depending on that, let's not speculate or have expectations. Let's just let things flow, and if we get quite audience and if they still have questions and all that stuff, maybe I can just let you know, hey Jim, and you need to step in because I don't know what to answer. So in Spanish, obviously.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I love it. And in fact, one possibility would be that we do that either at the very end of Jorge's presentation and discussion, or right before Jorge's presentation and discussion, which will be in English, I presume. And, but like, let's say it was right at the end. Jorge's going strong for 2 hours, and then boom, we shift gears in Spanish. Jorge is all revved up. He's already talked about it and stuff for 2 hours. He's ready to kind of downshift, right? And then he participates in the Spanish language conversation, right?
Yeah.
I just think that would be so cool. Anyway, I'm just expressing. Oh, I see a thumbs up from Jorge. Love it. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, let's do it. I think it's perfect. Let's just do it for an hour. Bam.
Okay, so I'll write it down on my calendar, 7 to 8, and I'll also make a little flyer to diffuse it around different groups.
Yeah, so for Jorge, that could be from 8 to 9 in Mexico City time. And that means that if you wanted, we could do your talk from 4 to 6 Pacific time, Jorge. 4 to 6 Pacific time, which would be 6 to 8, 6 to 8 your time. And then the Spanish language piece could be 8 to 9 your time. No, wait. No. Wait a second. Sorry. Yeah, 8 to 9 your time. So total, your presentation would start at 6 o'clock, Jorge, and end at 8, and then 8 to 9 we'd have the Spanish language hour.
Sorry, again because of my internet connection. You said 8 Pacific Standard Time?
Yeah, but 8 p.m. Well, here's the thing. For Pacific time, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Here, I'll just write it in the chat because you.
Okay, cool. So 8 p.m. Pacific time would be 10 p.m. Mexico City time. Just at night time, all right? Presentation 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Mexico City time. Cool. Thank you so much. Sounds great. Okay, so that's your 4 p.m. in the Pacific, all right? Then the Spanish language from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Mexico City. Friday night, it's a date.
Awesome. Love it. This is so cool. Yeah.
We're off for dinner right now, but it has been a great conversation all along.
Yeah. Awesome, Jorge. Great to see you. Oh my goodness. I love today's conversation. And again, thanks to Sylvie for everything she said, because that created a platform for me to make my comments. And so thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, Jorge.
Hi, Jamin. Bye, Mayra. Bye, Shankar.
See you all soon. See you guys soon.
See you soon. Aloha.
Mahalo.
Yeah, see Jorge, see Sylvie. Yeah.
Mhm. And Shankar, it's pronounced Jorge. Jorge.
Jorge.
Jorge.
Jorge.
There's no
H.
G. Not Jorge. It's Jorge.
Jorge.
Jorge. Jorge. Jorge.
Jorge. Jorge. Thank you.
Sure.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, I am actually, I want to, I'm trying to discuss with a couple of neighbor folks who has like a couple of techniques, like a drawdown techniques as a brief presentation. I'm seeing whether we can do the presentation. And one more person also from a spirituality consciousness in that side, because it's a collective intelligence. I want to see whether I'm approaching them once they reply. And if they are available for this Friday, I will connect to you, Jimin. Yeah.
Okay, and you had asked me about that earlier, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, very good, very good.
So I'm kind of, from my end, I will line up. So whatever they share or whatever discussion, I would definitely love to enjoy.
Okay, and you'll email me or text me?
Yes, the same email, I'll connect you through the email.
Okay, very good, very good. So I can look out for that. Okay.
Yes.
And do you have my cell phone for texting purposes?
Oh, I don't have. If you can reply in the email, I'll pick it up from there. I'll save it from there.
Okay.
And,
yeah, there you go. Very good. Perfect. Perfect.
yes,
Okay.
or I can send it right now.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. Beautiful. Awesome. Isn't this exciting, you guys?
Yes. Yeah, I sent mine. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness. So exciting.
So I like how people join from all over the world, and you are able to get the perspective. Definitely, everywhere the problem is impacting it's a common problem. It looks like a bigger problem. The impact is different in different places. If you're a coastal person, you're worried about water level raising, or if you're like I don't know, Seattle means they'll be getting more rain, or they're gonna lose the monsoon. So or the other places, which some place could be snow melting or more insects spreading. Like to see how the solutions will be handled both temporarily and also in a long term. Because everybody wants quickly some temporary solution too, or a quick solution, mitigation. Yeah. So how was the solution club meeting?
Oh, it was really, really good. It was absolutely amazing. In fact, today we had Dr. Ye Tao of Harvard. He joined us on the Solution Club. And also these two gentlemen who are working on a platform. Let me tell you the name of the platform. It's called Up to Give. Up to Give. All one word. Up to Give.
Oh, what does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
Oh, here, I'll type it in the chat. Up to Give, and it's about essentially, peer-to-peer decentralized funding, donations, financing, call it what you will, using Bitcoin to fund literally anything. So, they are extremely supportive of SRM. So they wanted to talk with Dr. Ye Tao. So we just put it together and boom, there we are on the Solution Club talking, right?
Yes, we need it.
So, and there's going to be over time a lot more participation, like that, higher and higher level participation. And because, we're just,
out of time. It's time to do this, or, continue the omnicide.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, everything is suddenly very clear, exactly what we need to do.
Yes.
Anyway, it was just a beautiful meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And we also talked a fair amount about collective intelligence itself. We talked a lot about bigger picture stuff. It's all recorded. It'll be uploaded soon enough. Yeah.
Good. Very good. Glad for you, Jamin. Things are like, it looks like it need a really, really comprehensive solution.
Yeah.
So, and the balance of solution has to be, the weightage has to be different in different areas.
The what?
The weightage,
Oh,
weighing the factors. Though you can call it as a solution, the solution is different in different parts of the world.
Let's think of it as a solution vector, right? Because the vector will include component subvectors, right? And are you comfortable with that kind of conceptualization?
I mean, I'm trying to visualize it, but you can tell me, like, I studied in my math, but I have to pick it up. If you can explain, I'll pick it up. Yeah.
So visualize the a three-dimensional Euclidean geometric space with XYZ coordinates.
XYZ graph. Yeah.
Okay, so these are supposed to be three different right angles from each other.
Okay.
And then you have a vector starting at the axis, starting at the the intersection of those three axes, the 0, 0, 0 point, right, and going out somewhere into space, right?
Okay.
Think of the X projection, the Y projection, and the Z projection of that vector, right?
Amazing.
Okay, so each of those are component vectors. So imagine that the solution for the entire world is this one giant vector, right? That there will be smaller vectors for each country and city and town and village, and all the way down to a single plot of land. There'll be, here's the solutions that need to happen on this plot of land. Here's the urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the best way to do it, etc., that we know of so far. And then if the person who owns that land or occupies that land wants to have a conversation about that, all they have to do is click on Zoom, create a meeting, boop, tweet it out. Hey, everybody, I'm having a conversation about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
About my land. Here's what the optimal solution is telling me I need to do. Here's the vector I was given, and here's what I think about that.
Mm.
Right? And what I think about that could be this. No, right? Here's my vector. Right?
No, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, like, they might be told, listen, you need to plant all these trees of this type, and that will do the best for healing that environment and ecosystem and all that. And the owner might say, hell no, I want to keep on growing, soybeans to feed to pigs in China. Right?
Okay.
You
Lie somewhere in the vector.
Pardon me?
Maybe they lie in somewhere in the vector.
Yeah.
Or minuscule or a major share or a minuscule, like that. When you say vector, I'm imagining this like a wedge or something, or like what do you call, like a arrow.
Yeah.
Solid arrow block. So if it's some solutions are comprehensive, big, wider, larger applications, big team, massive effort, massive solution, massive outlay. Some are like you said, they're just the tip or the corner or the edge of those axes. So they exist. While doing this, the solutions are overlapping. Some are contradicting and creating problems among them too. But overall, they fit in the system and they are there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the best example I can tell is what Silesh told about that CFC.
Yeah.
Even though the fossil fuels of this are happening, it is still releasing some that fluorocarbons or this thing which is cooling a little bit. So if you stop the fossil fuel, probably it's going to heat up even more quicker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I know it's coming together. Then whoever does whatever they do, they're going to refine it further. Like if I know I'm causing problem, first I'm going to deny. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Then probably out of the 10 steps I do, why don't I change the 3 steps that I do, so that I could better team up with somebody. That makes me to think and come out of my ego and say, I see the point. Yes, I'm making things worse. What I can do to make it better. The other person will take an abolitionist approach. I said, hey, I cannot do that. Then how can you reduce the severity? Okay, I'll reduce the severity. Then they might eventually come out of that. They got creative destruction. Have you heard of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be like you can call it there's a term called open source. So you want to call collective intelligence source or
Yeah, this is open source collective superintelligence. That's exactly what we're creating here.
mm-hmm.
Totally open source, decentralized, and to create it as the solution engine, among many other things, but that which generates all the solutions that we need.
Yes. So this will be like again what do you call how the hub is done. Like I know I'm coming back to the one of the example you gave. It all comes like a hub of spokes or the wheel axle. How the solutions all channels through the, or is it a network, or is it how the access part is established, so that there is an exchange where the attention needs to be there, or where the connection happens. The social party or the block party.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll be talking about this plenty on the block party, but ultimately, the way I see it, in terms of bringing it all together, is that there will be a global holistic model to model the whole world and all of the solutions that need to be implemented all around the world, right? And you know, number one, everybody from wherever they're logging in from, they'll be able to see exactly what the optimal solution prescribes for their particular location. Like, look at that, you know, heavily desertified, heavily eroded landscape in Myra's image, right? The prescription there might be holistic land management with livestock, for all we know, right? To regreen it, right? And stop the erosion, right? But the owner of that land may be a vegan and say, hey, forget that, right? And then something might be worked out like what was ultimately proposed when Alan Savory met with Dr. Silesh Rao. What about introducing animals, but we don't kill them and we don't eat them?
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
Common grounds.
Pardon me?
Common grounds.
Grounds, exactly. So, you know, whatever the optimal solution generated by the holistic global modeling process, whatever the optimal set of solutions, there will of course be negotiation and discussion and debate and et cetera, and alternatives explored. You know, that'll be the norm. right? But in the end, we need to come up with something that works. And the only thing that, in my mind, is absolute coming out of all this is that we absolutely need two things with great urgency. One, collective superintelligence. Number two, SRM. Those with essentially equal urgency, but it's important to note that we can put together collective superintelligence super quickly if we set our minds to it. SRM is going to take longer, but it's going to go much better if we first sat down and put together the collective superintelligence. With collective superintelligence, SRM will go like a hot knife through vegan butter. Bam. Without collective superintelligence, it'll be like me trying to cross all those canyons in Myra's picture, right? On a pogo stick.
Yeah. I think Myra's hiding somewhere in the canyon. Because when she...
Yeah, and I'm just telling you, it's just going to be impossible. Without collective superintelligence, I literally don't see how we could possibly do it. So let's eat our broccoli. Let's build out the collective superintelligence, invite everyone you know to the block party. Go to radish.org, click on Collective Intelligence Block Party, and just show up. Whenever you can, come and go as you please. Let's build that out. Let's get it done, right? Let's grow that thing like crazy. And then with a really powerful and exponentially growing collective superintelligence, we'll be able to do anything that's physically possible, including SRM. So we need
I feel one more thing, because I was sharing the page to a couple of folks. I still see, I know the word collective intelligence, they like it. Everybody's the solution. Everybody is in the pathway to the solution. Do you think we need more keywords in the page or something, so that, like, for example, I'm doing composting, okay? If I see the word composting, then I will be motivated to come and share how the collective intelligence can be applied through that way. So in some small places, just composting itself is a solution. Or land management, like I've seen in some places, they just pretty much, the forest or other thing is, all the composting is keep diverted from the cities, or so they take a very active part to do that. So everything has an importance, everything kind of fits together. Do you think by listing the bullet points or keywords, when people see that description, they read it like, yeah, I want to know, I want to talk about this, or I want to know who's going to talk about this, I want to listen. Somebody's going to say, do you think, then I know it looks like when it's a collective intelligence, it's going to encompass a lot, but at least some structure. Or do you have any basis or anything? Like, for example, the IPCC report categorizes each area in their own way. Do you want to take that as an area and you want to list that back? Will that be helpful for people to relate?
Yeah, I would say we definitely need to break it down, and then, but we may break it down in a way totally different from the way the IPCC breaks it down, right? We may, at the very top, have, let's say, the 3 top priorities at the very beginning, and those priorities can change over time, but I would say at the very beginning, the 3 top priorities are collective superintelligence itself, building that out, SRM, and veganism. I would put those as the top 3. And then each of those will have its sort of natural taxonomy from a collective intelligence standpoint.
Yes.
So from a collective intelligence standpoint, we would want to break it down into brainstorming of solutions, conversation about solutions, brainstorming, which takes it to the next level, design, which takes it to the next level, modeling, which takes it to the next level, and then finally optimization. Is it part of the optimal solution? And If so, here's how to do it and when to do it.
Mhm.
And so,
It makes sense. Makes sense, David.
yeah. You know, but I mean, we just make it very operational. We make it very goal oriented. We've got to get this done, especially for SRM. Other topics will be treated differently. Like, for example, what is the future that we want? That's much less goal oriented because we don't know what the goal is yet. Right? We first need to have the conversation. Right? So that's much more conversation centric. Whereas the SRM, we really need to fast track it all the way through to implementation, which is the thing that is optimization. So, but bottom line, out of the collective superintelligence will emerge this natural, I see you, Mayra, this natural and optimal, basically plan, right? Encompassing all the solutions. First, what needs to happen first, second, third. Okay, go ahead, Mayra.
Jamin, from this last meeting that you had with, oh darn, I forgot his name again. Yay.
Douglas. Oh, yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask about that concern you had regarding the glass production? If there's enough within this world, like, because I know that was like a big concern because someone from the 24-hour collective intelligence had done like a Google research, and they did that there was not sufficient glass to even consider it doing those mirror reflecting on top of the ocean.
Yeah, thank you, Mayra. Yeah, we did talk about that. And we even talked about some kind of way out there possibilities of like massively ramping up glass production by going into the deserts where there's a massive amount of glass, more than enough, and using mirrors themselves to reflect sunlight, to concentrate that sunlight, melt the sand, to be able to cast more glass, right? We also talked about solutions that don't use any glass. Solutions like thin film plastic covered with, a thin layer of reflective metal, like you see on the inside of potato chip bags, right? And then all the structures to support, millions of square miles of that material, right? And then we also talked about other solutions of using basically silica made of sand, which is what sand is made of. But so a solution similar to ICE 911, which uses super fine silica powder, but instead have something in between that and Yatow's giant mirrors, which could be maybe golf ball size, little reflective balls, and spread those out by the trillions. Contain them with, floating booms and things like that, so they don't spread everywhere.
It's funny that you're saying that because yesterday I was having a conversation with my son, and I was like, do you have any ideas, like, when we go outside or when you go to places, what is one of the things that gets hot? Because, here in Arizona, we have extreme heat during the summer. And my son was like, well, the sand. I'm like, okay. Definitely. I mean, we can get some glass from the sun. That would be amazing. And then maybe the sand itself on some kind of platforms on top of the ocean. I don't know, just an idea to throw there. I forgot what I was gonna say.
No, that's okay. When you think of it, just jump right back in. But the bottom line is that we're going to apply massive collective intelligence, what I literally refer to as collective super intelligence, so that we can generate probably hundreds of different possible solutions for how to cool the planet. And we'll analyze each of the best of those and analyze and analyze and analyze and test it virtually with prototypes, whatever. But we'll do all this incredibly quickly, because this will be humanity finally coming together to say, you know what, enough is enough. Let's stare this in the face. Let's slay the dragon of planetary overheating, period. And, you know, by then we might have, you know, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of participants in the block party, not all in one video conference room, but spread over thousands of rooms, right? And that's real intellectual power. That's organized intellectual power, harnessing hundreds of thousands of people simultaneously, their brain power simultaneously, right? It's like a bunch of animals pulling some load, right? If you have hundreds of animals, you're going to be able to pull a lot heavier load than just a couple, right? I know there are people who don't like animals to be used at all for such purposes, but I'm just talking hypothetically. What I am talking about is harnessing human animals, right? How about that? Let's harness ourselves, but we need to strap in. You know, we need to join the Zoom video conference, strap in, plug in, and participate, right?
True.
So for anyone watching this, and I recommend lots of people watch it, but more importantly, participate. Go to radish.org, click on the banner that says Collective Intelligence Block Party. Learn all about the block party, and in particular, please make sure you watch Radical Collective Intelligence in 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes of video that will give you a really good foundation for where we're headed with all of this. And, you know, it's now or never. Either we do this or we die. So let's get together and do this. Bring everyone you can to the block party.
I have to confess that I'm a little bit concerned. I've been a little bit concerned today because it seems like a lot of humanity, right now they're focusing to the coronavirus. And they're freaking out about it. And they say there is something more important to worry about, global warming, which is coronavirus. And I'm like thinking, oh my God, I'm just so afraid that, I'm not afraid, I'm gonna say concerned, that we are starting to become a part of this collective intelligence and making it grow, but then so worried listening to the media with the coronavirus. I was just thinking like, oh my God, like, really?
Yeah, you know what I think it is? I think they're using it as a distraction in a way, because everybody knows that these viruses, they come, everybody gets freaked out, they go away, and then everybody goes to the bar and gets drunk and celebrates, and then we feel like everything is fine again. So this is putting humanity through that cycle so that it can get its mind off of the reality of climate change, abrupt climate change, exponential abrupt climate change, and that we're heading towards the edge of the cliff. So, you know, I've heard people say, oh, we don't want to shock people. We don't want to. Well, listen, we've got the solution. So the message is not just that we're headed towards the edge of the cliff. The message is we're headed towards the edge of the cliff. We have a solution, but we have to implement it now, and we need your help. Join us. Come to the block party. Period. That's it. That's the complete message. Hey, listen, I got some bad news and some good news. What do you want to hear first? You want to hear the good news first? The good news is we have a solution. The bad news is we're headed towards the edge of the cliff. and we need your help. The good news is there is a solution and we need your help. Join us. It's as simple as that. We're not going to do this without you. With you, we might make it. It's as simple as that. That's the message for you, humanity.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm still, it is setting my thinking like towards like how we can do. I'm still seeing 2 points. Okay, I may discuss, or I'm still open in the block party for the solution, or anybody mentions, or so this is like, yes, one, I'm still trying to understand the difference, like doing one at the earth surface level or the atmospheric surface level, and another on the earth's the ground level or whatever. I'm not using the technical name. So I'm feeling if we do more, like, we still need all solution. Okay, I'm not against that. I'm only like all the possibilities exploring, and this is one of the possibilities. So what is this? So if you use something on the surface reflecting mechanism, which is more like can a beam of lights, multiple beam of lights can create a membrane enough to deflect the sunlight. So in that way, it spans the large area. At the same time, you're not using a lot of materials.
What creates the membrane?
Like 2 lights, for example. Have you seen the laser lights?
No,
They're
but the thing is, here's the thing. Conceptually, if you use laser lights, 2 lights or 2,000 lights or whatever, the bottom line of what you're doing is you're shooting photons, right? And photons very infrequently collide with other photons, right? So I don't see how you're going to reflect photons coming from the sun with other photons. I just don't see it. But unless you're talking about chemically changing the gases and or particulates in the atmosphere using lasers, that might work. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about that. I'd love to hear if there is such a high-tech solution. But
yes, that is what I'm trying. Like, what I'm only thinking. I don't know the answer is there. I don't know. I'm even in the step 1 or anything. Like, but the only reason I'm thinking that way is like, yes, we can cover the earth or the surface of the earth with more material objects. Still, I feel like it's a lot. By the time somebody is coming there, the another solution is like, why don't we do it on the more like the laser light is just an example, not exactly the same, but I agree. If we can change the chemically something, not in a more polluted way, but not non-polluted way. If something creates like a reflection, so the way I'm still trying to see. Mercury is a metal, right? I know I'm not taking in that sense, but mercury, if it's coated, it reflects.
sure.
So there are objects, but I'm thinking in a more in a gaseous state. The clouds, I see the best example is the clouds. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. What else? What else exists there? Or in the more the reason I'm saying light beam is some overlaps, creating enough to create a reflection. In that way, there are not much material objects laid. So I want to think in that. It could be a narrow thinking, but I want to think in that way. What can I do? What can we do?
Yeah. So let me take it back one step. There's just 3 of us in this meeting right now.
Hmm.
Imagine if there were 3 million of us working on this question. What can we do? Right. My point is, the first thing we can do is ramp up the collective superintelligence. Because then very soon there will be 3 million people. Listen, 3 million people is way less than 1% of humanity. It's less than 0.1% of humanity, right? And can you imagine 1 in 1,000, 0.1%, the 1 in 1,000 people who are the most dialed in, the most awake, the most concerned, people like the 3 of us, but 2,999,997 more. So that we get, I'm just saying if we have 3 million, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
If we had 3 million of the most dialed in, awake, responsible, conscientious, compassionate, loving, committed, creative people all working together as a collective superintelligence, oh my goodness, we could come up with brilliant solutions.
Yes.
Brilliant solutions that the 3 of us might not come up with. Maybe we would, maybe we won't. I don't know. I think we've come up with some pretty cool solutions so far, but I think we can do much better, right? And there are systematic ways to do that we can build into the collective superintelligence platform and culture, right?
Yes.
Oh, and mission and aims and vision and goals and all that good stuff. But we need to have these conversations first, I believe, before we can even begin to write it down, right? And that's why we're spending our time here. Because this is the way to do it. Conversations. Hablando se entiende la gente. Mayra understands what I said. It says, talking is how people understand each other. It's so simple. But we have to remind ourselves sometime. That's why it's a saying, right? There's another saying. Sobre el camino se acomodan las calabazas. That means along the journey, along the way, along the road, the pumpkins will settle. You know, like pumpkins settling in the back of a pickup truck or a cart, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
Just put the pumpkins in a como caigan, right? Y sobre el camino se acomodan las calabazas. See, now Shankar is learning Spanish. He'll be able to walk up to somebody in New York City and say, ¿Qué hubo, hombre? ¿Qué pasó? Cuéntame.
Poquito a poquito.
Anyway, so what I mean by the pumpkin settling, I think whose microphone is okay. By the pumpkin settling, what I really mean is, we just got to keep showing up. Don't worry so much about, oh, am I perfect? Have I studied up on the latest this or that or the other? Am I ready for this meeting? No, we just show up. That's what you do at a block party. You just show up as you are. The important thing is that you show up. And then as we have the block party, the pumpkins will settle. Right?
Agree, yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yes.
Oh, but it's not organized. There's no sociocracy. You don't know what your questions are, much less your answers. Right? So?
Yeah.
We're here, aren't we? Yeah, we're here. We're talking about it. Yeah, okay. So shut up.
Yes. See, so I know some people want to see the action. Some people want to do the thinking. And some people talking is not an action.
Go ahead, Myra. You're muted.
Sorry.
Don't forget you're recording this.
I know I am. But here's the thing. See, just like when we were in the main session and I said, I'm just going to express myself. This is me expressing myself. It's not judgment, right?
I hear you. I'm in the same page. I'm tired of that. You know, as long as you make presence in the present, it's all that matters.
Yeah. So that's why I gave the example, like someone's fast food now. You talk about cooking, they're going to get frustrated. So they're like, I'm hungry, just feed me. Tell me what I have to eat. Like that. You're like, no, how grain is good. The grains has to soak for 1 hour. Like, I'm out of here. So it's okay. But sometimes at the same time, you cannot eat fast food every day. You got to plan your meal. You got to be healthy. You got to know where your food comes from. You got to know what you're doing from the food. Everything is good too. So there are some days it's an emergency. It's kind of like urgency. But after some time, it's also a little bit planning. So it's a combination is what I understood. Like if it's a more action oriented, put the task first, just the task, understand task. Some like even after doing the task, somebody's going to tell, I don't know where you're going. Then you need study group probably, or you need a planning group. Because you're just spilling your pumpkins are falling out of the truck. You need a door. You need it to lock it. They're not settling, they're settling outside the like, yeah.
You know what? If they fall out of the truck, who cares? Just go get some more.
Yeah, or do a U-turn and go pick them up and say, hey, I'm so sorry. Let me dust you off and back in the pickup truck and let's go.
Yes.
I don't think no pumpkins will survive from a fall from a pickup truck.
If some of the pumpkins fall out,
get the seeds and eat the seeds.
Replant them, and then they'll have 100 children, and then there'll be 100 in their place.
Yes. They will
make some pumpkin pie with that broken pumpkin.
They will roll to the side of the road, and we're gonna get more pumpkin plants.
There's solutions for everything. Everything.
That's the spirit. And the only thing that's missing is you. Whoever is watching this, whoever is listening, and whoever is not listening, the solution is you. I remember one time I flew into Los Angeles International Airport, right? I get off the plane and I'm walking. It's this huge airport. And I'm walking. And when I finally get to the place where I go down this long escalator towards baggage claim, I see a big picture of the mayor of Los Angeles. And he's looking right at me and he says, with you here, now it's perfect. And what a beautiful message to receive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my message to you, whoever you are, with you here, it will be perfect. We need you. We need you. We need everyone here so that it will be perfect, so that we can have the perfect collective super intelligence and come up with the perfect solutions.
Yes. Where's Nolan, by the way?
Nolan is at work right now.
Oh.
He's at work. Yeah, he was here earlier today for the entire Solution Club and the first hour of the VCI, this meeting.
Great. Well, Jamin, we will rock you. No, just kidding. We'll let you get some rest and get to work. Do what you have to do. I would greatly appreciate if you can maybe take a little bit of time during this couple of next days before the block party and maybe write like a script in Spanish, like that whole SRM and just like a little script for me to introduce. That will make it a little bit more easier for me also. On top of that, I'm gonna log in into, I was actually last night, I was watching one of the meetings. I don't know when you guys had that meeting. I didn't look at the date, but you guys were talking about a lot of solutions. I don't know if it was this last week. There was like 5 people there. But yeah, it was really interesting and just learning about it every day. It gets exciting. It even gets more exciting, no doubt.
Well, I have a counter offer for you, which is that you hang on this meeting and we do the script in Spanish, just do a separate recording, not part of this recording, but it's a totally separate one. It can be unlisted if you want, but I'll just say it all in Spanish. Boom, get it out there, then you've got it. If you want to transcribe it, great. YouTube can do it for you. I don't know if they do it in Spanish, but I know they do it in English. But we'll just do it in Spanish, and then you've got it. Is that fair? Would that work for you?
Yeah, that will work perfectly for me.
Okay, let's do that. You get it done,
Okay.
and it's not like lingering because I've got too much on my plate right now.
I know.
But this way, this
is what I was telling. This is what I was telling Jorge. Like, I don't have the time to answer those questions. I just don't.
Nobody does. Come on, give me a break. Right? So let's just get it done in the meeting. Bam. That's exactly right. Love it. Love it. Love it. Beautiful.
All right. So whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's end this meeting. I'm going to hit stop to this one and then, no, but we'll stay right where you are and then I'll just do a separate recording. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else anybody wants to say before we end this recording?
Yes, actually, I have to. It's already late, so I'm gonna go. Probably I'm gonna fall asleep.
This is your next Spanish lesson. This is gonna all be in Spanish. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'll catch up during the.
Okay, don't worry.
Yes, and Jamin, if I didn't get a chance, you probably. I think I know you said you're traveling, so you get a good travel and your time with mom, everybody, everything.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's tomorrow. That's very local. I'm not traveling far. Just
good.
From the island to the big city.
Yes. Hope you're charged all before the block party.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Great to see you. Yeah.
Bye, Shankar.
Good evening, guys. Yeah.
Good evening.
Yeah.
All right. Here, let me stop this recording, and I just need to take this call also.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, after a quick pause, just to wrap it up, I just want to invite everyone to join this conversation with tremendous urgency. We need your intelligence and your participation as part of the collective superintelligence. It's that simple. It wouldn't be the same without you. It couldn't be the same without you. And with you here, it will be perfect. Talking to all of you. All right, so please come to join the block party. Go to radish.org and click on the banner that says Collective Intelligence Block Party. Click on that. All the information is there, including the link to click on to join the video conference and be a part of the block party. All right, you can also watch it live streaming and comment therein. There's lots of ways to participate. All right, thanks so much, Myra. Thanks so much, everyone, for today's wonderful meeting. And we'll see you on the block party.
We'll see you there.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.